In today's video, we're going to be answering the question, is insulin resistance reversible? Insulin resistance is a condition where the cells in your body are no longer able to absorb glucose correctly and use it for energy. This leads to side effects such as making it difficult to lose weight, a large waist circumference, skin tags, and dark skin patches. It also significantly increases your risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and PCOS if you're a woman. But is insulin resistance reversible, or can it only be managed? Is there anything that those who are genetically predisposed for it can do? We're going to answer these questions and more in today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kate. I'm a health coach and I post videos on a high-fat, nutrient-dense way of eating. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, feel free to share, and make sure to subscribe. And make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where I share new posts every single day. Today's video is sponsored by 𝘆𝙾𝙾, a genetics testing and analysis company that gives you personalized health recommendations based on your genes. Head to healthcoachkate.com/𝘆𝙾𝙾 to find out what your genes can tell you about your health. We're going to start off today talking about what insulin resistance is, then we're going to get into how to know if you're genetically predisposed to it, and we'll finish off talking about if insulin resistance can be reversed, and if so, how. And as always, I have timestamps right here on the progress bar, so if you want to skip to any part of the video, you can use that to do so. What is insulin resistance? Insulin is a hormone in our body that's main role is regulating blood sugar. It signals our cells to take in glucose. So when our blood sugar goes up after we eat, for example, the pancreas releases insulin, which takes the excess glucose from our bloodstream to our cells. Insulin resistance is when our cells resist the actions of insulin and no longer take in glucose as they should. This leads to insulin levels remaining high for long periods of time and leads to side effects such as excess abdominal fat, skin tags, and dark patches of skin. And it also causes your HDL cholesterol to decrease and your triglycerides to increase. If you have ever heard of metabolic syndrome before, which I'm pretty sure you have, it is the exact same thing as insulin resistance. Metabolic syndrome used to actually be called insulin resistance syndrome. So if you have metabolic syndrome and you were unsure if you had insulin resistance or not, you do. And in case you aren't quite familiar, metabolic syndrome is defined by 5 main symptoms: a large waist circumference, high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, high blood pressure, and high fasting blood sugar. If you have 3 or more of these symptoms, you'll be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, aka insulin resistance. And I like referring to it as insulin resistance or insulin resistance syndrome better than metabolic syndrome because metabolic syndrome is extremely vague. It doesn't actually tell us the root cause of the problem. Whereas when we refer to it as insulin resistance, we can see that the main cause is our cells resisting insulin. What causes insulin resistance? When we eat foods that are high in carbohydrates, they're broken down into glucose and enter our bloodstream. This glucose enters our bloodstream and this causes our blood glucose to rise. Insulin is then released to deal with the excess sugar in the blood, taking it out of the bloodstream and to our cells that need it. And this is a normal function of the body. Our bodies are equipped to deal with periodic rises in blood sugar. However, if we are constantly eating high-carb foods throughout the day, our blood sugar is constantly rising and might not have time to come back down to baseline before we eat again. So even more insulin is pumped out to deal with the blood sugar, which is still high, and our cells become overwhelmed and start resisting the actions of insulin because they are already filled with glucose. And this turns into a vicious cycle where the high insulin is causing insulin resistance, and then the insulin resistance is causing high insulin, and the problem gets progressively worse until it manifests as other diseases. If your blood sugar is constantly spiking throughout the day, this means that your body is constantly pumping out insulin to deal with it. And if your insulin doesn't have a chance to come back down to baseline before you eat again, then insulin is going to remain high. And this is where the cycle starts. Having high insulin is known as hyperinsulinemia. And this is really what leads to all the associated symptoms and diseases. Is insulin resistance genetic? The answer is yes and no. You can be genetically predisposed to insulin resistance, but that doesn't mean you will develop it. I really like the quote that goes, "Genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger." So how can you know if you are genetically predisposed to insulin resistance? Self-Decode can help you to do just that. Self-Decode is a genetics testing and analysis company that gives you personalized health recommendations based on your genes. Our DNA can tell us a lot about our health, but accessing and interpreting this data isn't easy. And that's where Self-Decode comes in. Self-Decode makes it easy to identify whether or not you are carrying the genes associated with insulin resistance, as well as numerous other conditions and diseases as well. Their wellness reports make it easy to interpret your results and provide evidence-based recommendations based on your DNA. Some of the genes associated with a higher risk of insulin resistance include TCF7L2, FTO, PPARG, KCNJ11, SLC30A8, which you can also learn more about each of these on the Self-Decode website. If you want to check out Self-Decode and find out what your DNA can tell you about your health, go to healthcoachkate.com/self-decode to order a DNA testing kit to anywhere in the world. And Self-Decode also has an online lab shop where you can order tests such as fasting blood sugar and insulin straight to your door. Currently, the lab tests are only available in the United States, but their DNA testing and analysis is available worldwide. And Self-Decode members save 50% off lab tests. Self-Decode will never share or sell your data, unlike other DNA testing companies out there, so you can feel confident your information is safe. Again, the link to check out Self-Decode will be in the description box down below. Thank you again to Self-Decode for sponsoring this video. Is insulin resistance reversible? As previously mentioned, insulin resistance is the same as metabolic syndrome, which is characterized by 5 main symptoms: a large waist, high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, high blood pressure, and high blood glucose. So by definition, if you reverse these symptoms so you no longer have 3 out of the 5, you will have reversed insulin resistance. And as these symptoms improve, your cells will literally become more sensitive to insulin again. So the answer is yes, it is reversible. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, that's great, but how do I reverse it? How to reverse insulin resistance. If you want to know more about these steps and other ones, I will link a video at the very end you can check out. But here are 4 steps to get you started. Number 1, stop eating refined carbs. Any refined carbs that are in your diet, cut them out right now. Bread, juice, pasta, cookies, cake. As I mentioned earlier in the video, carbohydrates are the macronutrient that spikes blood sugar and insulin the most, and refined carbs even more so. Number 2, eat enough protein. Making sure you are eating enough protein at your meals is key for maintaining satiety and reversing insulin resistance. Try to get at least 30 grams of animal protein in at every meal. And this is 30 grams of protein, the macronutrient, not the weight of the food. Number 3, stop snacking. If you're eating enough protein at your meals, your urge to snack will decrease significantly. And this is a good thing because the fewer times you eat during the day, the less insulin that will be needed, and this will improve your insulin sensitivity. Number 4, take apple cider vinegar. This is probably my favorite tip just because it is so easy. Taking a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in water anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes before a meal can significantly lower the blood sugar and insulin response to that meal. One study had participants take 1.5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar before a high-carb meal, including a bagel and orange juice. They found that the group that consumed apple cider vinegar were up to 34% more insulin sensitive an hour after eating, compared to the group that consumed the placebo. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you found this video helpful, and I really hope that it gave you a sense of empowerment. I know being diagnosed with insulin resistance can definitely feel a little bit overwhelming, and it's hard to know where to start, and even if it is reversible or you're just gonna have to maintain it. You can change your health by changing your habits, and these habits don't have to be big. They can really be as easy as taking apple cider vinegar before your meals and not snacking. Let me know down below if you currently have insulin resistance and if you've started taking steps to reverse it. I love chatting with you guys in the comment section. I try to answer as many comments as I can within the first couple of hours that I post the video. Right now, I'm not at home. Well, I'm in my family home at Canada, so I'm traveling. So I'll try to answer questions when I post. Might not be as many as usual, so I apologize for that, but I really do appreciate your comments and your questions, and I really do try to answer as many as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to check out self-decode. They will be linked in the description box down below. If you did enjoy this video, you might also enjoy my video on signs that insulin resistance is reversing. I will link that right here. If you want to catch up on my most recent upload, you can find that here. And if you want to check out my keto diet and carnivore diet coaching programs, you can find those here. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.